Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're going to be talking about the box office and how a lot of media outlets are now reporting officially now that studios are not in a good position with everything going on with CV around the world. And in fact, some are even saying that the outlook could be catastrophic for the box office of the studios and for the studios in general, therefore, because of it. And this is not even taking into account how much money will be lost on movies that are actually getting a release. These are just talking about the loss for projects that have to be delayed, the loss for productions that have to be delayed, the loss on revenue just in general. And it's kind of insane to think about just how much money could end up being lost because of everything going right now. So as you can see, Travis Bean from Forbes.com says studios need to wake up because CV will destroy the box office. It's already pretty much at that point in time. Again, and there's an image here, of course, from Fast 9, which was already pushed back. It says, first, it was No Time to Die being delayed until November. Then it was Peter Rabbit 2. Then A Quiet Place Part 2. Then just in the past 48 hours came the two big 1-2 punch, what could end up being the year's biggest two highest grossing films, Fast and Furious 9 and Mulan, delayed their theater release. F9, Fast and Furious 9 delayed almost a year. All of these films and movies have sacrificed a sizable box office income in the wake of CV. There's no denying that Hollywood as a whole will have to, sooner or later, reckon with the impending spread of CV. All the movies that have delayed so far have had to make that decision. A tough decision for sure, but ultimately the right decision. The virus is most susceptible to spreading when people gather in large quantities, which is why we've seen cancellation of sporting events, music festivals, and conferences. So naturally, a movie screening, which can house hundreds of patrons at a time, is seemingly an easy cancellation, right? Yet, there hasn't been the case for every major film, especially for the three major releases hitting the box office this weekend of Bloodshot, I Still Believe, and The Hunt. On the one hand, you can understand why analysts have predicted that the global film industry will face a $5 billion loss, according to Hollywood Reporter, due to a giant drop in box office income and the restrictions that have been placed on production. At that number will only continue to escalate as more countries tackle CV and more studios delay their films. And speaking of that Hollywood Reporter article, they approximate that the film overall has at least lost $7 billion so far. And if the remainder of March, April, and May are included, it could climb up to $10 billion and make it even more so, make it even close to the lost revenue will climb another $10 billion, meaning that it would be $17 billion. So they are projecting that this film could end up losing, or rather the studios could end up losing $20 billion when everything is said and done because of everything going on currently with CV. And that is just from the delayed productions. And of course, it seems now that they are including, at least according to the numbers by Hollywood Reporter, they're including how much lost revenue they will have on the actual films in release currently, but they're not even taking into account individual studios and individual films and how much money will be lost there, because they're not talking about how much these films cost to actually produce them upright. And they're not talking about how little the films are actually making now going forward. I'm still waiting on the weekend numbers to come in officially for all the movies going in so far. They might be up and live by the time this video goes live. They might not be. All I can say at this point, though, is that studios need to start taking this a lot more seriously and need to start thinking ahead, because if they don't start to try to mitigate the financial losses that they're having from either films that are going to be released, like for example Disney's Onward, which was already released and is set to lose big money. Again, we get that second weekend drop off officially this weekend, and hopefully I'll have that number by the time that my weekend breakdown over on Geeks and Gamers goes live. But we could see that film be a loss of over $200 million by the end of its run, because of how little money it's making and by how much money it actually seemingly costs to make that movie. But there's other films too from other studios that cost as much or cost maybe a little bit less that also in all likelihood are not going to be able to make their return on their investments. And so it raises that question, will they be able to make their money back, and how much will it indeed cost them to delay these movies? Because again, another thing that isn't really being talked about is they've already promoted these movies to be released at these times, and now they have to either add to their marketing, so therefore inflate and just completely raise their overall marketing budgets, or at the very least, they need to start thinking about different ways that they can release their movies, which could end up resulting in a loss of money. Now, the thing that I've been saying for a long time is it makes the most sense to me, especially while everyone's being told stay at home, stay in isolation, stay away from other people. Why don't you just take this opportunity to say, okay, let's go ahead and release these things on video on demand and at least make some money off of the project while we are waiting, right? Say, hey, all right, we'll have a theatrical release at some point, but in the meantime, here's the movie, pay us $10, $15 for it. I mean, they could do that. And some of these companies like Disney actually have the wherewithal or actually have the infrastructure to have their own streaming service, so they could literally do that, and it wouldn't really take all that much to be able to do so. Now, some might argue, okay, but wouldn't that bog down the servers? Wouldn't that make it a lot harder? Potentially, but then you look to places like Netflix that have been handling that for a long time now. You look to things like HBO and HBO Go. When Game of Thrones was at its peak and at its prime, they were having to deal with those same issues also as well. But what we have right here is a situation where it's not just Disney that's going to lose money, though. I think Disney, in all likelihood, is going to lose the most money because they're already shutting down their parks. They're already shutting down their movies. They're already spending crap tons too much money on their movies in the first place, and they're putting their marketing campaigns in the wrong place by focusing on the foreign marketplace and not here in the United States for a lot of these movies too. And what is that going to lead to? It's going to lead to huge financial loss, not just for all the other studios, but most especially for the biggest studios of all, who have their money in vast variety of places and are therefore losing a lot of money in the process. So Willow is crying at the door. She's so upset about everything going on because I don't want to see the box office fail. But if this is the kind of thing that needs to happen in order for them to realize, okay, we need to start changing our, we need to start changing our game a little bit. We need to start trying to move things along in certain areas, and maybe we need to stop spending crap tons of money by making films, and even worse, in the case of Disney especially, pushing politics and identity politics, especially in a lot of our films. If that's going to be what it takes for them to realize we can't do that anymore, then so be it. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to say that CV is a good thing, because it's a terrible thing. It's something that is impacting a lot of people. It's something that is causing a lot of people to get very sick and in some cases, in many cases, die. But at the same time, what we need to realize is that most people are going to be fine, and we need to thank God for that. We need to pray for healing and pray for the ability to find out what's going on with this, and pray for our doctors that they can figure this thing out and we can find a vaccine as quickly as possible and try to help out as many people as you possibly can. But as you all know, some people are wondering, like, why are you talking about the box office during this time? Why is this relevant? Well, I'm a movie channel. I talk about movie news. I talk about the box office news, and so it's relevant to me because this is the marketplace that I deal with most of all. And I've been talking about financial loss and financial gain for a decent while now at this time. And so $20 billion projected loss for the movie industry is huge, especially when you look at the fact that the movie industry was already going to be taking a hit because it was already going to be much lower than the year 2020, rather than the year 2019, because it was a massive year for them. Even then, as a massive year back in 2019, with some of the biggest releases of the year, that box office was still down. So if that box office, when you had a $3 billion film in Endgame, still was down year to year, this year is going to be even worse. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to watch the numbers as they come in for a lot of these big production films, if they're going to be able to even recoup their money having a delayed release, if that's even going to work for them. And also, too, whether or not they're going to be able to, turn things around and not have a catastrophic box office for the year 2020, especially looking ahead to the summer box office, because that's where the most money is to be had. And if they have to start canceling a lot of their big tentpole items to try and make their money back and try and make profits off of their investments, and they don't have those releases over the summer, it's going to be really bad. But anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think we're going to see this massive loss from the film industry? We're already seeing it. Again, they've already projected at least $7 billion has already been lost by the film industry because of all these cancellations and all these moving dates and everything else. Do you think it'll be $20 billion? Do you think it could be more? And also, what studio do you think is going to lose the most out? I think that Disney will, because Disney, as I said, has not just a movie industry, but also has a theme park industry and a lot of other places. And they're losing money in every single area because of this going on right now. Not to mention, they, at the very least, seemingly have spent the most amount of money on their productions, on their bigger budget films. They go big or go home, as they say. And I think that they have done so more so than anyone else. But let me know your thoughts about that and all that you talked about in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now to give a special shout out to my March Patreon and Subscribe Star members: animation commentator Brian P., Dion, David Brobrizik, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Camiel, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Riff Racer Request, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lancelotto, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B for Patreon, and my Subscribe Star peeps, Robert Revo, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2Cool99, Darkstar57, Alex McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and Mike Jackson. Thank you all so much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members for the month of March. You are all amazing people. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope that you are enjoying your perks. If you do not know the perks that you get, make sure you read again through all the perks that are listed, and also check your messages if you're over on Patreon, because if you are a $5 and up backer on Patreon, you get special access to giveaways over on the Discord. I send out messages with a link to join the Discord server. I will then hook you up over there, and you'll have access to some really cool giveaways. I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, digital codes, try and give away at least a couple of big movies, 4K Blu-ray titles a month, and try to do at least 2 to 3 giveaways for when it comes to digital download codes. And I might try and do a little bit more this month as well, because I'm always trying to add extra stuff to it. And also, if you are a $10 or up backer, then you have access to a special podcast that I'm starting to do with John the Flick Pick. That's right, John Flickinger of the Flick Pick channel. We're having a lot of fun with the podcast, and so expect that every couple weeks. And of course, also any extra behind the scenes, extra footage, extra interviews, extra solo podcasts as well, you will also have access to. And my special $25 and up backers on Patreon Subscribe Star, you have access to all of those things that I've listed. You also get a t-shirt. That's right, I will send you a t-shirt for your first month. And of course, you can also be featured on the Chosen to Valhalla live stream once a month. You get to be featured on the Odin's Movie Blog channel. It's always usually on a Sunday around 12 p.m. Eastern time. You get to join some lovely peeps and have some really great discussion with all of the Chosen of Valhalla and me with the live audience. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.